Hi, I'm Aron from 2H Media. In this video, we're going to take a look at how to add a product in Shopify. From the Shopify dashboard, we can get started by clicking Products in the menu along the left-hand side of the screen. From the Products page, click the Add Product button on the top right-hand side of the screen. This will bring up a blank product page where we can start entering your product details. The first thing you need to do is enter a product title. The goal here is to keep this simple and to the point. Avoid the use of filler words or too many specifics. In our example, we're going to enter the title Snorkeling Rubber Duck. After entering a product title, the next thing you need to do is add a description for your product. Once again, try to keep this simple and to the point. You want it to be easily skimmable so that people can tell what your product is all about at a glance. There's a couple of key factors you need to cover in your product description. Number one, you need to tell people what the product is, and number two, you should also tell them why they might want it. After entering a title and description, the next step is to add some media for your product. There are a couple of ways we can do this. The first is by clicking the Add Files button, which will bring up an Explorer window. Alternatively, if you've already got the files on hand on your computer, you can simply click and drag them into Shopify. When selecting product images, there's a couple of things you want to keep in mind. Number one, try to keep your primary image consistent for each product. To fill out the rest of your image gallery for each product, you want to use a variety of different styles of images. It's best to use studio photography to show off all of your product details, and use lifestyle photography to give your customers an idea of how the product might look in use. Additionally, we recommend making all of your product images a uniform size. This will make it much easier for you to style your product pages in the Shopify customizer. After adding a number of images to represent your product, scroll down the page a little ways to the Price section. Within the Price section, the primary field that we want to focus on is the Price field. Enter the price that your customers will pay for your product. For now, you can leave the Compare at Price field blank. If you'd like, you can enter the cost you pay for a product in the Cost per Item field. This will unlock powerful analytics data to tell you how profitable your online store is. After entering a price for your product, scroll down the page a little bit further to focus on the Inventory section. Within the Inventory section, you can optionally add a SKU and barcode for your product, as well as telling Shopify whether or not to track the inventory for that product. Tracking inventory within Shopify will give you access to features such as out-of-stock notices and low inventory notices depending on your theme. However, if you already have a practice you're comfortable with, you may not need to use Shopify to track your inventory. In this case, uncheck the Track Quantity button. If, like most Shopify users, you're selling a physical product, it's very important to enter a weight in the weight field. Typically, this should be the boxed weight of your product when it's ready for shipping. By clicking the unit dropdown next to the weight field, you can choose between pounds, ounces, kilograms, and grams. If you're shipping internationally, filling in the customs information below the product weight will help you determine duty for your products. If you're shopping domestically, you can leave this section blank and continue down the product page. Below the shipping section, you'll see a variance section. For now, let's leave this blank, but we will be coming back to this in a little bit to look at how to add a variable product. Scroll back to the top of the product page and focus on the column along the right-hand side of the screen. Skip over product status for now and focus on the organization section. Within the organization section, the first thing you need to do is enter a product type. Choosing the best product type depends heavily on how you've organized your online store. If you're a very general purpose store, you might be able to keep these quite general. However, if your store is more specialized, you might need to make these more specific to create differentiation. If you sell a wide range of products, shirt might be an appropriate product tag. However, if you sell something more specialized, such as custom clothing, you might want to further differentiate between t-shirts and dress shirts. In this case, our products are very general, so we're just going to call this a rubber duck. When determining what to enter into the vendor field, once again, this depends largely on the specifics of your online store. If you carry a variety of name brand products, you may want to enter those brands so that your customers know that they're buying a genuine item. Alternatively, if you're white labeling or selling more niche products, you may want to just enter your store name in the vendor field, or leave it blank. How you fill out the collections field and the tags field depends largely on how you've built the collections in your online store. If you're using manual collections, you can use the collections field to select which collections you would like your product to appear in. If you're using dynamic collections, you may need to enter specific tags in the tags field to make your products appear in the desired collections. Additionally, the tags field may be used by your theme or any number of Shopify apps to unlock additional features by entering specific tags. As this depends on the specifics of your online store, we recommend checking your theme documentation and your app documentation to see if there's anything specific you need to add in this field. If you don't know what I'm talking about, there's a good chance you don't need to add anything to this field beyond the tags for your dynamic collections. After filling out the organization section, scroll back up to the top of the page and focus on the product status section. Within the product status section is a drop-down where you can choose between draft and active. If you want to publish your product right away, set this drop-down to active. If you're preparing a series of products for a later launch, or you need to get your products approved by someone else within your company, leave this set to draft mode for now. Below the drop-down, you may see a list of checkboxes, each representing various sales channels. In most cases, all you need to do here is make sure that the online store checkbox is active. After entering any amount of information on your product page, you'll see a save bar appear at the top of the screen. Click the Save button at any time to save the changes you've made so far. If you've set your product status to active, this will also publish your product to your online store where customers can purchase it in the front end of Shopify. After clicking the Save button, Shopify may take a moment to load. You should see a green box appear near the top of the screen, with a checkbox indicating that your product is saved successfully. If you'd like to see how your product appears to customers, click the Preview link at the top of the screen. This will bring up your product page in a new tab, where you should see all of the information you've entered appear in your online store. The specific look of this page will depend on your chosen theme, but in general, the information should be the same and should match what you've entered in the back end of Shopify. Before moving on to adding our next product, there's one more step we should take on the product page. Click on any of the images in your media section. On the new screen that appears, click the Add Alt Text link on the right-hand side of the screen. This will allow you to enter a description for your image, which improves accessibility and search engine optimization. In general, you want to describe what's in the image, not what the product is all about. Avoid filler words like premium and stick to describing the characteristics of the image. In this example, we might enter something along the lines of yellow rubber duck with snorkel isolated on a white background. When you're done entering alt text, click Save and then hover your mouse to the right of the image. An arrow should appear, which will allow you to click through the images that you've uploaded to the media section. Continue adding alt text to describe all of the images in your media section, and then click the X in the top right-hand corner of the screen to close this window. At this point, you should be looking at your product page in the back end of Shopify. You'll notice that a save bar has not appeared at the top of the screen. After entering alt text, you do not need to resave your product. If you've followed all of the steps we've laid out to this point, you've successfully added a basic product to your Shopify store. Now let's navigate back to the products page and look at how to add a variable product. The process for adding a variable product in Shopify starts out much the same as adding a basic product. So I've gone ahead and filled out most of the product information in advance. Taking a look at the product page for this variable product, a few things should stand out right away. You'll notice that this neon rubber duck is available in a variety of colors, so I've already uploaded images to represent the different variations. Because a variable product exists as a series of options on one page, it still gets one product title and one product description. Much like for a basic product, the process of writing a good description for a variable product starts out with what the product is and what the product does. The main difference with a variable product is that you should also include additional information that describes some of the common characteristics of the different variant options. Scrolling down the page, let's take a look at the price section. If your product variants will all have the same price, I recommend entering a price now. If they will all have different prices, you can leave the price field blank for now, as we will be able to enter prices for each individual variant later on in the process. To turn your basic product into a variable product, scroll to the bottom of the page and take a look at the variants section. Within the variants section, click the checkbox and two new fields will appear. The first field is where you can enter a name for your variant option. The second field is where you can enter your list of variants. In this example, we're going to enter color as the name of our option. In the field to the right, we can enter all of the possible values for our variant option, separated by commas. You'll notice that each time I enter a comma, my variant option changes to a badge. If you mistype one of your options, you can simply click the X to the right of the badge, and then resume typing to continue adding variants. Perhaps your product is available in both multiple colors and multiple sizes. When you click the Add Another Option button, two additional fields will appear. These can be filled out in exactly the same manner as the ones we just completed. Once you've finished entering variant options, click the Save button in the bar along the top of the screen. Scrolling back down to the middle of the page, you'll notice that your price section and inventory section have disappeared and been replaced with an expanded variants section. From within these rows, you can rename your variants or enter new prices. If you drag the scroll bar to the right, you'll see that each variant option also has its own SKU. One thing to watch out for here is if you've already entered a numbered SKU for this product, Shopify may try to automatically increment those numbers to represent the additional variants. If incremental numbers don't accurately reflect how you organize your products, you may need to re-enter SKUs to more accurately represent your variant options. If you need to enter individual barcodes or weights for your variant options, you may need to click the Edit button to the right of one of the variant options rows. After confirming the price and SKU for each variant option, click the Save button to confirm the changes you've made so far. If you need to enter unique weights or barcodes for any of your variants, scroll back down to the Variants section and click the Edit button next to any of your variants. This will bring up a new screen with price and inventory sections for each of your variants. Fill out these sections exactly as you would for a basic product. You can navigate between each of your available variants by clicking their title within the Variants section. When you're done inputting pricing, inventory, and shipping information for your variants, click the Back button in the top left-hand corner of the screen to return to the product page. Finally, if your variant product is ready to launch, change it from draft mode to active in the product status section. Click the Save button in the bar that appears at the top of the screen, and your new variable product is launched on Shopify. Once again, if you'd like to see how it looks to customers, click the Preview button to bring up the page on the front end of your online store. The product page for a variable product should appear almost identical to the product page for a basic product. The key difference is that your variant should be selectable from a series of buttons or a drop-down near your Add to Cart button. Returning to the product page in the back end, there's one more thing we should adjust to take our variable product to the next level. Scrolling down to the Variants section, if you click the image icon next to any individual variant, a modal will appear. From within this modal, you can select one of the images that you've uploaded to your product page to associate that image with your variant. When you're done updating your variants to include images, click the Save button, and then let's click Preview again to take a look at our variants in the front end of Shopify. Now, whenever you select one of your variants, the product image will automatically change to reflect your selection. This will make it much easier for your potential customers to ensure that the variant they've selected is the exact option that they're looking for. So there you have it. If you've followed along throughout this entire video, you now know how to add both a basic and a variable product to your online store.